In a real-life scenario, you probably have more on a page than just one column of text. Once you start to include images, forms, and blocks of text, you'll have to know how to move these items around on the screen. In this tutorial, we'll look at how you can organize the web page. As you know, HTML is a markup language. It tells the browser what to put on the screen, but it can't say how everything looks. The language we use to style websites is called CSS, or Cascading Style Sheets. In CSS, you can change things like color, alignment, borders, margins, size, and shape. You can even get into much more detailed formatting like shadows, gradients, and fading. Today, we are going to use a pre-written style sheet called Bootstrap, or a file with CSS in it, so we can get started faster. This style sheet is automatically included in the editor, but in case you're interested, this line of code in the head of the page will include the Bootstrap CSS file. The link tag is another tag without a closing tag. In previous exercises, the text you've included on a web page starts right at the edge of the page with no margin, but as you surely know, most professional websites have margins around their borders. For all this formatting stuff, we'll have to know how to use an element called div. The div element is one of the most generic of HTML elements because it simply defines a division, or a section or grouping of similar markup. For example, previously, if you wanted to make two paragraphs in red, then you'd have to use the style tag in both p tags. Now, we can move that style tag to the div and wrap both p tags in the div tag. Now everything within the opening and closing div tags is in red. Bootstrap has many classes for divs. If we return to the previous example where we needed to make a margin for the text, we can use the div class container. This makes a nice margin around the web page for everything within the div. Bootstrap also includes support for making columns on a web page. To define a new column layout, we'll use the div row class. Now, we have 12 columns that we can use however we'd like. 12 is a nice number because it is divisible by 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. Let's say we want to make 2 columns. To do this, we'll construct our division as follows. COL for column -xs-6 to use 6 out of our 12 columns. The XS part is for making a site responsive, a complex topic that we'll go into later. For now, all you need to do is change the number to change the amount of columns used. And if we repeat this, we have 2 columns which take up the full width of the page. Let's make another row. In this row, we want to have 3 columns. Because 12 divided by 4 is 3, we'll use div class equals col xs4. Repeat twice for a total of 3 columns, each of which are 4 units wide. The same process can be used for any amounts of columns or sizes. In fact, the columns don't have to be the same size. You don't even have to use the entire width of the page. This code will make a column that is 2 units wide, followed by a column that is 5 units wide. But what if we want to put a big space between columns? To offset one column group from another, we append the offset class to the div. If we have a column that is 2 blocks wide, and we want to add another column that is 3 blocks wide but offset it by 2, then we can use this code. The standard COL XS3 space COL XS offset 2. Now there is a 2 block space between the columns. Remember that we are currently using 7 out of the 12 columns available. For reference, this table shows some different columns in action. Just remember to always have columns wrapped in row and container classes. In the next tutorial, we'll explore adding images.